So what's the difference between a rollerball donkey derby and your Google My Business listing? Well, obviously there's lots of differences, but actually there are some similarities too. It reminded me of a time when I went to Blackpool many years ago as a child, and I remember seeing how this rollerball derby works, and to win the race you needed to put that ball in the hole as quick as you can. But actually in some ways Google My Business is very similar, and we use the word signals quite often in my videos because every time you do something, or every time your customer does something that interacts with Google, it's kind of sending a signal to Google. So we talk about the algorithm, which is one thing which Google kind of puts together based on some of the things that you do and some of the keywords and some of the integrations with other things as well outside of Google My Business. But on top of that, your customers and their interaction, and when they click and they press on directions, when you respond to perhaps them messaging you, or when they inquire about you on maps, or they're looking for your brand, those are all signals that in effect are like putting that ball in the hole and moving you slightly more forward. Now, often what's misunderstood is people have simplified the whole process by thinking that if you get the best reviews possible, you'll be number one. But of course that's not true. We can just go onto Google My Business, we can search immediately and see there that you won't always find that the 5.0s are above the 4.9s and the 4.9s above the 4.8s. The ranking of that alone is too simplified. Now that's not to say that Google My Business reviews are important and that ratings are important, but it's far more involved than just a couple of things like that. For example, someone who has a lot more diverse ratings and they're getting them on a regular basis is more likely to outrank someone who just has one or two business ratings and they're 5.0. And there's a lot more to it too, because what are people writing in the reviews? Is it coming from different areas that are relating to your business? Or is it the same person, a family member, just doing it to get you some ratings? Google's aware of all these things. So we want to make sure that our ratings are relevant, that they're coming from a diverse area, and of course we want them to be a reasonably good average. If you want to know about the average of ratings, I did a video that showed you that even if you have a really bad rating, even a 1.0, it can be converted into still making a good rating quite easily. So you may want to watch this video afterwards if you want to know how to do that, how to get your ratings up, and how to basically get rid of a bad rating by means of just outnumbering it. So although reviews are important to Google and to some degree to the algorithm, it's the human element, it's the human votes that are actually going to give you more traction when it comes to your business ratings. And no doubt you gravitate to a better rating. So if you saw the top 3, you probably would go to the best rating, particularly if it has 100+ people with those ratings. So the human element comes into it. So rather than just always thinking about Google's algorithm, we also need to think about what the customers are more likely to go for. They're much more likely to click on a business that has good reviews. And that was one of the questions I asked the community this week and or just a week or two ago. So as a true or false question, reviews are the most important factor to get into Google Map Pack. So what did you say? Well, it's really a bit of a 50-50 here. It's difficult really, isn't it, to tell how much effect that has because it's got the human element. But from an algorithm point of view, clearly it's not the main thing that Google's looking for. Of course, if you do get negative feedback, which isn't always good, and sometimes it's not even true, but even if it is true, it's good to listen to it. Negative feedback can actually make you progress, find out where the weakness is, and you can address that. In fact, Elon Musk said, pay attention to negative feedback and solicit it, particularly from friends. So negative feedback can be useful, particularly if it makes sense in what's being said. In fact, in yesterday's video, we saw the importance of being honest with ourselves and viewing our business as others see it. And sometimes there may be some negative things that come back. Perhaps we mentioned a feedback form from your clients or from your customers or even from your staff if you're a big company. Sometimes what's written can hurt. But if it's true, then it needs to be addressed. But to say that reviews aren't important would also be wrong because we know reviews make a massive difference in how people purchase things. So think of Amazon, think of eBay, think of TripAdvisor. It's the reviews that really count. When you look at something, you probably look at the reviews. You may even rate something based on its reviews and based on its feedback. So Google knows that. And so Google My Business isn't just about the ratings within Google itself. So even though Google has its own rating system, Google's also aware of what your ratings are on Yellow Pages or Yale. It's aware on TripAdvisor. And if you're, depending on what your business is, but say for instance you're a restaurant, well, it will know them based on Book a Table, indexes that have ratings as well. So you've got to think in your business, what's considered as being an important rating to have? Is it Checkatrade? Is it TripAdvisor? Is it Book a Table? And once you then know where those ratings are going to be valuable to your customers, then don't just focus on your Google My Business listing, but also focus on those areas too. And you can see that on the knowledge panel, quite often, those ratings also go to show and have an impact on your ratings and your rankings. So more than ever, consumers are relying on ratings being accurate. They will make decisions based on what they see and what they read. And of course, when they're reading it, then there are keywords within those customers or those reviews that also are going to have an impact on what they're looking for. And Google also is aware of this because it starts to then find the keywords that are being regularly repeated, and it then indexes them as well. But actually, are those keywords of much use if they're not really relevant to your business? Wouldn't it be better if your customers were talking about services and products that were relevant to their business? Now, there was a really good video recently by Mindsaw, or Brett from Mindsaw, and he was debating with Chris Palmer as to who came up with this suggestion first. Well, I certainly didn't come up with this suggestion, but they mentioned, wouldn't it be better to have the keywords in this area? But you need to know what your keywords are. So head over to Brett's video where he discusses with Chris Palmer who came up with the idea first. And if you follow it through, actually, it's a really good suggestion. Now, of course, if you want to know what the best keywords are for your category or your particular business, then it's always good to have a free tool to look at. And this has got a 14-day trial. So head over to this tool here. It's called KWFINDER. It's by Mangols. And there you can look at a 14-day trial. And if you head over to this, I'll put the link down below. So when you go to the comments down below, you can see where the link is to this. Head over to there, just put in some keywords and see what comes up. And what you're looking for particularly is what's got traffic. What are customers actually searching in Google for? And if it's particularly relating to your categories or your business, then you know those are keywords that you should be aiming for too when you're writing or getting people to write reviews. And Brett mentions in his video how you can get people to perhaps put in those keywords. Maybe you could suggest what they could write and then allow them to put it in their own words. But hopefully they'll keep some of those keywords when they write it. Keywords, of course, is a really important part of your reviews, but you can't always control exactly what's written, but you can certainly help people come up with the right keywords if you suggest it to them. I also put together a trilogy about reviews and how you can get rid of reviews, bad reviews, how you can increase the amount of reviews you have. In fact, there are 3 parts to this trilogy that I want you to look at if you really want to get your reviews working well for you. So I'll put a link again down below in the video description if you wanted to head on to there. Now, reviews are something you do need to keep an eye on. They do come up every so often as saying new if you get a new review. So that's important. Google wants to see regular reviews as well. So for example, if someone looked at your business and they saw that the reviews hadn't been updated for a year or 6 months, that's not really going to have any more positive impact. Having 100 reviews from 3 years ago is barely a recommendation. So things need to be kept up to date. But there's something else you need to keep up to date as well that people don't seem to be doing. And it's something that we're going to do several times in our 30-day challenge together. So tomorrow, I'll show you what that is. Don't miss it. I'll see you there.